They'll come to shatter the serenity. From far and wide, they'll come to this cauldron of speed. To unleash 600 horses. To seize a Whelen modified dream.
This is the calm before the storm.
Here we go, green flag.
Right now it's pedal to the metal. We've got a lot of movers and shakers.
Hard driving because it's Bristol and because you want to win this thing.
Engaged to fight for supremacy.
3 wide? I can't believe it.
Prevail in Thunder Valley, and they'll inherit a legacy.
3 words are all you need. Modifieds. Thunder Valley. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tours invade Bristol, Tennessee for the University of Northwestern Ohio Perfect Storm 150. The 4th trip to Bristol for the Modifieds. Ryan Newman from the Cup Series is here to battle the best from the North and the South. The North led by Doug Coby, second generation driver. He's the point leader up in the Northeast. And yes, Georgie Brunholzl is from Long Island, but he races on the Southern Modified Tour, where he is the point leader. Beautiful day in Bristol. Mike Joy with Dick Berggren here raising funds for the proposed Northeast Motorsports Museum up in New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Got his Speedway Illustrated hat on and ready to go for one of our favorite events of the year and the great unexpected today, because this is the newly reground, reconfigured, new old Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and we saw some tremendous speeds in practice, Mike. In fact, several guys cut laps that were quicker than any NASCAR car has ever run at this place. We didn't get that in qualifying just because of the heat of the day, but we also saw some people spinning out and having trouble. Get a right rear into that new grinding, and that's a very good way to lose it. Donnie Leah tried to make it through turns 1 and 2 wide open without lifting. That didn't work.
He'll be in a backup car as Ron Silk posted yet another pole position. Well, let's go trackside to another lifelong modified fan, Bob Dillner.
Absolutely excited to be here, and the banking, so much talk about it. From the bottom of the track to the top of the track, 24 degrees to 28 degrees. But how does that affect the mighty modifieds here? They're low slung. They got high horsepower and big old wide tires. No better person to ask than 7-time champion Mike Stefanik. Does this change in the banking here affect things at all for you guys?
No, Bobby, it doesn't. Because our cars don't run quite as high, we got those big fat Hoosier tires, allow us to stay a little lower on the racetrack. And we're pretty much almost wide open around here when our tires are fresh. So we have an awful lot of grip. We don't need to go that high to find any.
The bottom line is Mike Stefanik says you will see 2 wide racing around this racetrack the entire way, guys.
Only 2 wide? Well, it doesn't surprise me, not in the least. NASCAR's only open-wheel division is set to do battle at the world's fastest half mile, live on Speed, next. It is a picture-perfect day in East Tennessee. The temperature bumped 80 degrees, not too humid, a light breeze, and a cloud every once in a while. Great racing weather for summertime as the Modifieds roll out onto the track, the UNOH Perfect Storm 150. Ron Silk has his 7th career pole. He won the season opener at Thompson. Donnie Leah qualified second. Todd Szegedy, only driver with top 5s in all 3 races here, and Ted Christopher. John McKennedy making his first Bristol start in the modified, and Ryan Preece, who won at Mad Dog. Ryan Newman, is he the man to beat today? Eric Goodale. Brian Chu, 6th top 10 start of the year, and George Brunholzl, the 3rd, the South Point leader. Patrick Emmerling, 13th in points, and Justin Bonsignor, former pole winner here. Doug Coby, 4 wins this season, and Burt Myers, the standout of Bowman Gray. Frank Fleming and Cole Powell, who will also go to the rear. Tim Brown just wrapped up the championship at the Madhouse, and Eric Beers. Rowan Pennick and Jimmy Blewett in the 10th row. John Smith and Ron Uhas from North Carolina and Connecticut, respectively. Andy Seiss and 7-time Tour champ Mike Stefanik in row 12. Kyle Eversole, Gary Fountain, row number 13. And John Keefman and Jason Myers back in the 14th row. Ken Hagee and Eric Berndt. That's row 15. Danny Bone, he's got a win at the Madhouse this year. Ed Flemke Jr. Michael Spini and 1990 champ Jamie Tomeno. Thomas Stinson and Wade Cole. That's your starting lineup. Our speed ride-along program has you with Mike Stefanik, 7-time Tour champion, driving a car wrenched by Brad LaFontaine's Northeast Race Cars. Mike's a native of Wilbraham, Mass., now lives in Coventry, Rhode Island. He's also a champion of NASCAR's Busch North Series, now K&N East. And the Rocket, Ryan Newman, driving for Cup crew chief Kevin Mannion. He's won here twice in the modifieds. And there is the view at the front end of Newman's car. Don't worry about that big air cleaner. You get used to it after a lap or two. But yeah, it blocks a good bit of the view. Bob Dillner.
The only other guy to win a race here in the modifieds at Bristol other than Ryan Newman, Donnie Leah. Like you guys mentioned, he wrecked in qualifying today. Had one of the fastest cars here. This car that he's running, a backup to Todd Szegedy. I spoke to Donnie before he got behind the wheel of this machine. He said the team's plan is to go the entire way. Feel it out, see what he can do in this car. They know the two-team of Todd Szegedy has very good equipment, good engines. He believes he can get a good finish out of this one today. He's 5th in wheel and modified tour points, and man, he really wants to do well here at Bristol.
And Leah at Thompson a couple of weeks ago wound up in the very back of the pack when he had to re-pit in one of these races and unlapped himself after he lost a lap in the pits, and then proceeded to pass every single car on the racetrack to win it. So don't worry about where Donnie Leah is starting. He's good enough to win in that backup.
But it's not his backup.
It's not, but it's going to be set up very well for him. He's just got to get used to it. It'll take him a while, and he could have a good night out of it.
All right, you see cars dropping to the rear as indicated on the starting lineup. Duplicate numbers are solved here by each car carrying an N or S from north or south. Wheel and modified tours as applicable. Mike Stefanik, the all-time career race winner. Ted Christopher's in the field. Reggie Ruggiero not here this weekend, nor Tony Hirschman and or Jeff Fuller.
That's Christopher in the number N3 car that you see on the outside of the second row. That's his 3rd ride of the year. He started with a team that's gone now, and he is in the bowler number 3 tonight.
So Ronnie Silk elects the outside. Todd Szegedy moves up 1 row with Leah going to the rear. We are racing at Bristol. Silk can't close the door. Here comes Szegedy for the lead. Christopher drops to the bottom. 1-2. Ryan Preece in the 16 looking low, and Silk slams the door. 1, 2, 3. Szegedy, Christopher, and Silk on lap 1. Then Preece, McKennedy, Ryan Newman 6th. Goodale, Brunholzl, Chu, and Bonsignor the top 10.
And in these early laps, Mike, these cars are anything but stable. If you watch them, they're just wiggling this way and that. And given the number of spinouts that we've had and the number of contacts with the wall that we have had, that's got to raise the heartbeat of these drivers more than a little bit.
As in Sprint Cup, the field gets single file pretty quickly. Oh no, around goes the 77, and they all come piling in at the start finish line.
That's John Smith right on top of a car coming across.
That is mayhem.
What a wreck. Oh, look at this, half the field or more. Newman.
13 cars were in front of the spinning number 77 of Ryan Newman, and almost everybody else was involved. Look at some of the damage there. Now there's Burt Myers coming in with a lot of left front and roof damage.
That's Rowan Pennick's car. He's the one that was on the bottom of the John Smith deal. Wow, what a mess.
Well, Dick, everybody's coming off turn 4 with a full head of steam.
Yep.
And when you're flying off turn number 4, as we look at Andy Seiss, you can't see much of that front straightaway.
And Newman just got right out sideways, and then
he looped it.
And the caution was out.
And backed away from the mayhem.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, you can hear the tires. Sideways. And behind them, look out. Newman did a great job. Looks like he escaped that entirely without damage.
As I say, when you're in the middle of 3 and 4, you can't see much of that front straightaway. and it clogs quickly when cars get sideways.
No, but just look at this. Look at John Smith right over the top of Pennick's car. Oh, goodness. Jimmy Blewett is in it. The 40 of Frank Fleming is in it. Stefanik had a very, very fast car.
Yep. Wow. No, that's not even funny.
No.
Gosh.
Nope.
That's violent. Four laps complete. Red flag on the Speedway.
As it should be.
Looking at the rescue workers, it appears that everybody is climbing out okay. I see this one car against the wall where they are still working. And that's that's Wade Cole.
Yep.
From Riverton, Connecticut.
Tim Brown's the other one.
And Tim Brown's the other one. Tim just wrapped up a record 9th championship at Bowman Gray last weekend, and he's staying in the car having a word with officials, perhaps to see if he can get restarted. Yeah, he's fine. Mike Stefanik walking back, and you'll see the 66 right in the middle of this red car with a black roof, right in the middle of mayhem. Rolling again after a 13-minute red flag in the UNOH Perfect Storm 150 at Bristol, Tennessee. Ryan Newman got loose off turn number 4. Everybody stacked up and piled up. And that speedy dry is for Patrick Emmerling's car as it was stopped during the red flag. Here's Newman trying to come off 4. Didn't have the grip. Spun harmlessly down to the bottom. Well, harmless for him. Right there behind John McKennedy. Because behind him, the track clogged in a hurry. Keep an eye out here for Mike Stefanik right there. Yellow numbers on a red car with a black roof. Fastest in practice, high hopes of winning this thing. Here comes John Smith up and on top of Rowan Pennick, and then landing on Burt Meyer's car right next to Stefanik. Now that's a pileup. Bob?
Ryan Newman said one thing on the radio and one thing only: a little loose out here. That's how he broke free coming off that corner. The team is going to bring the 77 modified down pit road. They don't think they have any damage, but since he's going to be at the back of the pack anyway, they're just going to check things out for the two-time winner here at Bristol.
Now, Bob, Tim Brown was pinned against the wall, and he signaled he was okay, but then the course workers, the ambulance techs, helped him from the car and assisted him over to the ambulance. What about Tim Brown?
Well, Tim Brown is in the infield care center right now, and he tweaked his back a couple weeks ago, so he knew that coming in here, but he smiled to everybody, his family and his team, as he went into the infield care center. Right now, Ryan Newman on pit road. They're checking out the right front suspension on that machine.
Second modified race at Bristol with a red flag period. Last year's lasted 6 minutes. 13 minutes this year. We now have 6 laps complete, 3 of them under green.
And ironically, Newman's record here in this series in the modifieds has been checkers or wreckers. In 3 starts, he's got 1 crash DNF and 2 wins, but not a crash DNF, at least so far today. Newman should be fine. A lot of people at the back of the pack, so many have gone on to pit road to work on their cars, and they will all restart at the back. Still 5 cars on pit road.
The modifieds predate NASCAR. They go back to the 1940s.
And that's Whitey Brainerd with a straight 8 Buick at Stafford. Another shot from Stafford of the early modifieds. That's just what they look like early in history. Here now we're seeing cut downs at Keene, racing with more full-bodied cars that evolved into cars like this. Rainy Charland's sedan, in which he won lots of races. Now we have safer barriers. Back then, Ernie Gahan went right through the wooden wall. And here's a car at Waterford Speedway where they still run NASCAR modifieds, and Buddy Krebs at Riverside. Now we're getting more sophisticated. It's early 1960s. All those pictures by Shani Lorenzen, now 91 years old. He captured this sport for over 30 years at several NASCAR tracks.
Great to see the progress of what are now these sleek machines. Bob?
Mike Stefanik started 24th in this show. Big wreck there coming off of turn number 4. What did you see, Mike?
Well, I just watched the video, probably like the fans at home, and I saw Ryan Newman spin by himself. Then I think some guys panicked in behind him, and they started getting crossed up. And the video that I saw there showed the 93 car hit us a ton from behind and just turned me right head on into the fence. I was just slowing down, looking for a hole. Next thing I was looking at a big concrete wall.
Take a look at Ryan Newman's onboard here. Looks like he just looked. Oh, Mike Stefanik, that's your onboard. Sorry.
Yeah, that's my onboard. Yeah, nice view. I was following the 40. You know, I had passed about 4 cars, and here we go, looking for a hole, and didn't even get to the accident, and then became part of the accident. The 93 car, as you see right there, just hit us a ton. I'm sure he didn't mean to. It's just thinking on the brakes quick as I did.
Tough break for the 7-time champ. He had one of the fastest cars here today, guys.
Stefanik came in 7th in Whelen Modified Tour North points. He said earlier he didn't think he'd be able to catch Doug Coby, who has the point lead, but in a newly formed team, trying to give it their all the rest of this season. 1 to go.
And with a lot of mechanics in the infield working on their cars, not to get them back in the race, but to be able to even get them in the haulers to get them home.
Bert and Jason, the Myers brothers, still on pit road.
Andy Seiss also on pit road.
And the 45 of Eric Beers still being worked on. Donnie Leah pits from the back of the field where he started, and which might have been a safe place to be in these opening laps. Bob Garbarino's crew pushes him back out as the field heads for turn 3, and the Ford Taurus SHO pulls away from the field. We're going to go back to green, completing 10 laps. There will be a halftime break after lap 75. Zagady, Christopher in the Bowler Racing All Blue, and they get the green. It's not a fast restart, and Zagady scoots away on the bottom. Silk side by side with Priest for the 3rd spot, and Ryan Priest powers by on the outside.
Priest has had quite a year for himself, winning multiple races at Thompson Speedway and also at Stafford Springs, and won in the Tour as well.
Good news from the care center. Tim Brown checked over and released. Teddy on the bottom looking for the lead, driving a car that has championship winning lineage back to Fred DeCero and Bugsy Stevens in the 60s.
That car was originally driven by Keith Rocco early in the season. Rocco damaged his wrist in a practice crash, and he's out, and that's how Teddy wound up getting the ride for here. And look at this, the 77 of Newman slowing in the pit area.
Newman pits. Bert Myers puts his car away for the day. Front 4 begin to gain a little distance on the field. Christopher, Zagady, Priest, and Silk. North Point leader Coby back in 8th. Brunholzl, the South Point leader, in 11th.
And Newman had a flat right front tire. That's why he wound up pitting. It'll be tough to win from there. Silk in the number 6, last year's champion in this series. And Priest in the 16, one of the young guns.
And Dick, it looks for all the world like a 2-groove racetrack.
It does. Indeed it does. We'll see what happens when the Cup cars get out here. They're more accustomed to running higher than the Modifieds. Modifieds with wider tires and perhaps a bit more grip as a result of that.
Eric Goodale may have brushed the wall coming out of 2. That's his black number 58, center of the screen.
It is so. That'll be the 2nd time in the wall for Goodale. He crashed it in practice earlier today as well.
Third place is the battle, and Ronnie Silka, that number 6, keeps trying the bottom. Beers giving him just enough room down there, but he just can't cover the spot.
He's got plenty of time. Lots and lots of time. .20 complete, 55 to the halfway break. Silk in the number 6 has a spec engine. This is an engine with pieces and parts that are specifically specified by NASCAR. You can only use those pieces and parts. That engine is a little bit closer to a street car engine, and as a result, he has a carburetor on it that NASCAR allows to be almost twice the size of the cars that have the more traditional built engines.
And there was a lot of squawking after he got the pole at Loudon, New Hampshire, from some of the car owners on the tour, running the built motors as opposed to the spec motors, the more traditionalists that have 40,000 or more in those engines. And NASCAR has made a slight competition adjustment to the spec motor to try to bring it in line as a viable alternative, but not necessarily an advantage.
It's a less expensive alternative that's got the potential to not only reduce costs for the competitors, but also to allow the cars to go just as fast as they go now.
If you're following Ryan Newman, he is 24th, 3 laps down to race leader Ted Christopher, who came in here having led 190 laps at Bristol, the most of all of NASCAR's modified drivers. Christopher, Zagady, Priest, Silk, McKennedy, the top 5. Then Chu, Goodale, Kobe, UNOH, and Brunhosel. 26 laps complete at Bristol, Tennessee for NASCAR's Mod Squad. Race had a tough beginning. Ryan Newman spun all by himself, but 10 cars piled up behind him. And out of the race already include favorites Mike Stefanik, Tim Brown, Rowan Pennick, and John Smith. Your leaders Ted Christopher over Todd Zagady, Ryan Priest, Silk, and McKennedy, the top 5.
And the lapping has already begun.
Ryan Priest running a nice heads-up race. A lot of daylight between himself and second place Zagady. Make that about half a straightaway.
Priest had led the most north laps of anybody else coming into this race. And up on the headliner of that particular car that you're watching, Get Well Sammy G, that's Sammy Gonzalez. He is a member of Ryan Newman's crew on the modified series in the hospital. We wish him the best.
Ted Christopher inside, and the number 3 inside Newman, who does not want to go 4 laps down. Zagady kind of on cruise control. He's in a rocking chair by himself with almost half a straightaway over the 3rd place car. And Christopher well out in front.
Zagady with the best average finish here of any driver who has run all 3 of these events.
That's right, he's finished top 5 in all of them. Ryan Priest works a bit of lap traffic there.
Priest really gets around. He's got rides in several different divisions, and we talked today, and he calculated how many different tracks he has run on this year, Mike. 12 different tracks, including today.
Just got past Cole Powell, the 21-year-old Canadian. And now moves up on Jason Myers, whose brother Bert has gone to the garage. Bob?
John Smith was involved in that wild wreck just a short time ago. Your car caught airborne. What was that wild ride like, John?
I don't know. We was getting pushed from behind, and they all wrecked. And when I went airborne, I was like, oh no. But thankfully, everybody's all right. Wingfield race car. But hurt my hand a little bit, hurt my thumb, but I think we'll be all right. It's the main thing. And hope everybody else is all right.
John Smith's full-time job, he works in the 29 car for Kevin Harvick.
Thanks, Bob. Sorry to see him out of it. He could have been a threat today.
Cole Powell in that number 73 is an interesting story. Lives in Canada, but he has moved south to North Carolina to work on that car and get it prepared for these races. Right now, he is living in a Holiday Inn, so he can conveniently get to the garage and turn wrenches. He's had a good start. He's made 3 starts in the Southern Tour so far, with a best finish of 3rd. Youngest driver in the field today.
Right now, he's holding up Ronnie Silk, who's 5.5 seconds behind the leaders. Remember, lap 75, that's 35 laps from now. They'll get, spin in turn 4. And up the racetrack goes the South, number 33, Gary Fountain. And that'll put us under the second caution flag at lap 40.
and close everything up. You can see the back of Fountain's car. He clearly has been into the wall, or somebody got into him. Well, it's a rough race so far, isn't it, Mike?
Well, this is a rough place, as I heard Mike Stefanik tell Rick Benjamin on Sirius Radio this morning. The sign at the gate doesn't say Bristol Highway. Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yes, yes. And it's a very difficult racetrack as well. Hard to run. If you get down in the black on these corners, it's easy for the car to get upset, and you're in trouble. And they're so close to each other.
Barry Fountain was 16th at the time of that spin. 41 laps complete at Bristol for the Whelen Modified Tours. Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern Live. NASCAR Race Day fueled by Sunoco. Before the battle begins, NASCAR Race Day provides the ultimate setup. JR, Kenny, Kyle, and Larry Mack get you revved up for Thunder Valley Saturday night. Don't miss NASCAR Race Day fueled by Sunoco. Saturday at 5 Eastern live on Speed. Coming up next, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series right after us here at the world's fastest half mile. This is the first of 2 appearances for the Modifieds on Speed this season. September at Loudon. You'll also see them in action. If you can't get up to the Magic Mile, tune in right here. Bob? Back to Bob in a minute. Ted Christopher has had to do a bit of ride bouncing around this year, Dick, and that's not the first time he's been in that situation.
No, he's accustomed to that. The other thing he's accustomed to is winning on this tour. He has won at least 1 race on this tour in each of the last 13 years. He has yet to win in 2012, and due in no small part to the fact that he has had to bounce around when the team he started the year with folded. And he basically has had his thumb up. I asked him what's going to happen when Keith Rocco returns from that broken wrist, whether he'll keep the ride in the 3, if Rocco will get it. And Teddy just looked at me and shrugged his shoulder. He doesn't know. Bob?
Now I can hear you guys. Teddy Christopher had a conversation with him as he was strapping into that car. He's won 42 races on the Whelen Modified Tour. And this car, historic proportions here in the modified scene. This car goes way back. They call it Old Blue, the bowler car. Fred DeSero, Mike McLaughlin, Tony Hirschman. A host of drivers have driven this car. Well, TC believes he can get to victory lane in this car here today. He said it's a pretty good piece, and he said the thing that he's most impressed with is how it handles around this racetrack. It sticks to the groove. It's a little bit loose right now. He's trying to figure out what this car needs at the halfway break, but then again, I said, Teddy, what is it like to run Old Blue for all you modified buffs? And he basically said, it's just another race car.
Oh, wrong answer. Come on, it's a great, great piece of history. And he joins the list of the sport's most storied drivers. That's the right answer. 45 laps complete at Bristol. We'll be right back. University of Northwestern Ohio sponsoring the modified race at Bristol and tonight's Camping World Truck Series race as well. This is the Perfect Storm 150 for the Whelen Modified Tours North and South. And a shout out to Whelan's VP of Motorsports, Phil Kurz,
who is not with us. He ordinarily makes every single race, but his grandson was just born, and he has stayed home to be with his daughter and his new grandson. So we wish you well, and congratulations, Phil.
Doug Kobe is our point leader up north. Brian Priest, Ron Silk, Jimmy Blewett, Bonsignor, and Zagady and Leah, former champs. Beers, Stefanik, the 7-time champ, and Ted Christopher has also hoisted that big trophy. That's your top 10 coming in.
And they're all lined up, getting ready to go, but the lights are still on the pace car.
1 to go this time.
You wonder what Christopher could do if he was in that car more, Mike. Earlier today, he had him change the steering box in the car. He wanted a tighter steering box, quicker steering. He picked up a mile an hour.
Wow.
Just changing the steering box.
So Ted Christopher is your leader from Todd Zagady. Ryan Priest and Ron Silk in row 2. Justin Bonsignor back there with Brian Chu, Eric Goodale, and John McKennedy. Doug Kobe, Ron Uhas, George Brunholzl, the South Point leader with Danny Bone, And yes, that's the racing and bowling Bone family from New Jersey. Parker Bone, 1, 2, and 3. And now Danny.
And he's got Ray Evernham in his pet.
Yep.
And he works on the car at Evernham's shop. He's employed by Ray Evernham,
who is one of his sponsors.
Yes.
Christopher, big jump, makes the shift. Zagidy's going to be a car length back at the line. And that's how they roll off into turn 1. Priest settles into third, Silk fourth, just as they were. Then Bonsignor has taken over fifth. Chu up to the 6th spot. McKennedy falls to 7th. Goodale 8th. Juhas, Kobe, the top 10.
Keep waiting for Kobe to move to the front. He has dominated this series so far this year. He has simply run up front, race after race after race.
Doug Kobe's in the number 52, black with yellow numbers, running single file in 9th place. Hard into the inside front stretch wall goes the 33. Ouch. Gary Fontaine. Second time he's brought out the caution, and this may be the last one for today, or for Gary Fountain.
Yeah, that car is pretty well worked over at this point, Mike. I doubt very much we're going to see him back on the racetrack. Gloves are off. He is no doubt out for the day.
Yeah, Florida driver has a flat right front, perhaps as a result of contact. Came off turn 4, looped down the front straightaway, and a hard shot into the retaining wall.
Well, the several drivers who are making their very first start at the modifieds here at Bristol and I had conversation today, and every one of them was concerned about their chances to run well here, to have a good finish. And I told each of them the same bit of advice: just finish. Never mind worrying about a good finish. If you can keep the car in one piece, you're going to have a good day.
Third caution of the day. It comes at lap 53. Halfway break coming at 75. Our break coming now. Coming up next from Bristol, live, the world's toughest trucks. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Cale Gale on the pole. Timothy Peters alongside Todd Bodine, Brad Keselowski. In row 2, Justin Lofton, one of the quick guys in practice, but got into the wall in qualifying. The setup will get you ready. And there's Brendan Gaughan with his son looking on. Everybody loves the modifieds at Bristol. Brendan will start 11th tonight as the Fountain car goes off. And this is Donnie Leah. Remember, this is a backup car, not his backup. Todd Zagidy's backup car with Zagidy's seat. Leah had never turned a lap in this car until the pace lap for the race. But Donnie Leah, past champion of this series, is in 11th place on the lead lap. Bob?
Ray Evernham, a longtime modified guy, like you noted, Mike, here helping out Danny Bone, who actually runs 13th tonight. And it's a long way from Wall Stadium for the Evernham and Bone family. What advice have you given him today?
Well, the first advice I gave him is, you can't get laps if we've got to put a rear clip on that thing Monday. So we've been easing him up, let him get some laps around here. This is an intimidating place. He's a good kid. He comes from good stock. His father's one of my best friends. His grandfather used to beat us pretty good up there at Wall. And Danny's a good kid. He's just got to learn a little bit. If he can complete all the laps and stay on the lead lap, he'll have a good night.
I saw you have the notebook out just a minute ago, and I know you're just a consultant, but you're trying to help crew chief this thing, getting the itch once again?
I think that's just old age, Bob. If I don't write it down, I can't remember what to tell him Monday.
I tell you what, Ray Evernham, I used to love watching him at Wall Stadium run a modified. He was a pretty good shoe himself. Yeah,
we know him as a championship cup winning crew chief, but he was a racer on this modified tour. Pretty good driver. There's Danny Bone, 13th and on the lead lap in the Rust-Oleum car.
His grandfather won lots and lots of races driving a car that had a 6-cylinder engine, and he beat the V8s doing it.
Getting ready for the restart. Quick look at the Whelen Modified Tour, Southern Modified Tour. George Bernhosel, Jason Myers, who spent a lot of time on pit road. L.W. Miller not here at Bristol. There's Danny Bone, 4th in points. Tim Brown is out of the race. He's 5th. Burt Myers is sidelined. He's 6th. Lofton, Ebersole, Frank Fleming also caught up in that crash, and Andy Seiss, the top 10. Ready for the restart. This will complete lap 58. Remember, lap 75 is halftime. Christopher, Zagidy, and Teddy by half a car length. Todd right with him this time going into one. Battle off two. Szegedy noses ahead. But which is the fast lane? It's the high side. Szegedy, then Christopher, Ryan Preece, Ronnie Silk. Chu in 5th, UNOH in 6th, Bonsignor, Brunholzl, McKennedy, Goodale, your top 10. Then Leah, Kobe, and Bone. Ken Hagee and Flemke. One down.
Whoa, Teddy sideways in the wall.
He and Preece got up there high. No caution. Wow.
That car is damaged. It's there he goes, right around. Teddy,
keep it down. No, right in traffic, and finally he gets tagged by the 51, Kyle Ebersole. Everybody else gets by. On the one hand, Dick, you might be surprised why no caution when they got together. But since both cars separated, got off the wall, and kept going, the track was clear. No need for a caution.
Let them go. Let them go if they can.
Top of the screen.
It's clear that the two of them simply hooked. And once Teddy got in the wall, that was it as far as his car is concerned. You can see it right now. It's really loose, really wobbling. He's gone.
The left rear was flat, Dick, as he went into 3.
Yep, it sure was. And then Ebersole finished it.
And he had nowhere to go. He was sandwiched with cars on both sides. See, right there, that left rear starts losing air on the number 3. And by the time he gets down to turn 3, it's all but deflated. But he comes around. Ebersole had a car inside and one up high, Bob.
And that's exactly what Ted Christopher said on the radio. It felt like the left rear was going down, but he was also battling one other problem. He felt like the power steering was going away on that number 3 machine. So tough break for Ted Christopher. He's finished second here before, led so many laps. He really wanted to add a Bristol win to his accolades, and that is one guy that is one tough customer inside that race car.
Ted Christopher gets tangled up, cuts down a tire, and may be out of the race. We'll be right back. Wad 'em up Wednesday. We look ahead to Fast Friday on Speed, where our coverage begins 10 a.m. live Eastern. A full day of on-track action. See the Sprint Cup stars fight for speed in Thunder Valley and the Nationwide. Young Guns battle for the pole. Exclusive coverage kicks off Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern with Nationwide practice. We'll join you for Sprint Cup practice at noon. NASCAR live at 2. Sprint Cup final practice 2:30, and Nationwide qualifying at 3:30 right here on Speed's NASCAR Fast Friday. Ted Christopher's car had the right side Nerf bar shoved in against the tire. There you see it. You're not allowed to remove that Nerf bar and race without it. Would have been too tough to fit another one, and the wheel won't turn the way it is. So the Mike Bowler car goes to the garage. Christopher finished 2nd and 18th here in 2009 and 10. So Todd Szegedy will bring him down with Ryan Preece. Then it's Ronnie Silk, Brian Chu, UNOH and Bonsignor, Brunholzl and McKennedy. Goodale and Leah, the top 10. We're back to green. Szegedy scoots away. The struggles for second, and it's going to be won by Ronnie Silk. He was in the low groove. Preece is black number 16 up high. Then Ron UNOH made a nice move up for 4th place in the 64 ahead of Bonsignor.
And UNOH has practiced very well. He qualified poorly, but his practice speeds have been right up there. And finally we see Kobe in the number 52.
Riding with Ryan Newman, trying to gain ground.
Newman a lap down right now, 2 laps down in 19th position.
Fourth place, Bonsignor looking over UNOH, who I think wisely gives him room, and not a lot of room though. Just enough room for his race car.
First time Bonsignor came to this place, he learned how to drive it by playing video games on iRacing and won the pole in the modified.
Oh, he didn't have room there. Bonsignor dipped the left front down on the apron to take the spot away. Move him up to 4th. UNOH back to 5th.
And Chu in 6th. That's the only other spec motor in this field. So right now, spec motors are 2nd and 6th.
Halfway next time by. And we'll look for the competition caution once the field cycles through. And they'll get a 5-minute stay on pit road. Where, as you heard, they cannot lift the hood, but can otherwise perform routine maintenance. There's the caution. And Todd Szegedy is our halfway leader in the UNOH Perfect Storm 150 that early on saw quite a few contenders piled up or fallen by the wayside, including Tim Brown, John Smith, Mike Stefanik, Rowan Pennick. Show you that pass of Bonsignor. He's got just enough room there. No, he doesn't. Oh, he goes way down to the apron and makes the pass. That's a bold move.
Yeah, he's 24 years old. That's what you get from a youngster like that, is just raw courage. Nice job. He did it.
That was one of those Dick Casso checkers or wreckers kind of moves, I'll tell you, but he pulled it off. Todd Szegedy, Ronnie Silk lead at halftime in Bristol. Halftime at Bristol Motor Speedway, and let's explain why they have a halftime. It's so that the teams don't have to either travel their regular over-the-wall crews or spend the money to rent over-the-wall crews from the Truck, Nationwide, or Cup Series that would otherwise be here.
And the only time they do this is when the Cups, the Nationwide Series, or the Truck Series is a companion event. Bob?
Down here with Todd Szegedy, who's taking a sip of Gatorade right now. Some changes to this car going on, but very minute changes. How is the car, and can you hold off everybody in the final 75, Todd?
I tell you what, the car's pretty awesome. I was a little free in through the center and off, so we're going to snug it up, and I think that's going to be the trick. And I just got to get away from these guys, and hopefully we can put this UNOH Ford Michael Cirillo Mustang in the victory lane today.
Todd Szegedy told me it would be a dream to win here. He's finished 3rd, 5th, and 6th. The best average finish among all the competitors in the field here today. Mike?
I'll tell you, that looks like work. You know, it's almost 80 degrees, ambient. You add the heat of those engines, and you add the rigors of racing a car around this steeply banked half-mile. You're going to break a sweat.
Oh, yeah, and particularly with people all over you, which Todd Szegedy has had all day long.
Ryan Newman, who is laps down, you see there, and Ron Uhas, for a fellow came out of Waterford Speedball. Boy, he's done a great job here tonight.
Yep. His girlfriend Dale Walbrink is his spotter. I don't know if I'd want to. I mean, I have a wife now, so I need to be careful what I say here. But if I didn't have a wife, I don't think I'd want my girlfriend telling me whether I should go high, go low, or what I should do.
Well, Mike Stefanik's wife Julie spotted for him for most of his career.
Yep, so she does a fabulous job.
Not a problem. Bob?
Down here with Ryan Preece, who's actually running in the 3rd spot right now. Ryan, I understand maybe a little damage to the front end of that car from that contact. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there was no place to go. Teddy got real loose, and I was running the high line, so we ended up getting into him a little bit. But we're going to work on it. I know we got a real fast car, and we'll see what happens at lap 150. I want to thank Eric Sanderson. I know you're watching, my girlfriend at home, too. And, you know, everybody, Flamingo Motorsports, East, West, you know, yeah, everybody out there. Sorry.
Where do you think you got to be better than Todd Szegedy right now to get by him?
Honestly, before we got into Teddy a little bit, I think I had a car that was just as good as those guys, so we'll see if we can get back to that point.
Ryan Preece, he's in the top 10 in the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series standings. One young gun to keep a look at coming from these modifieds.
Yeah, he is 3rd right now. We saw them making a toe-out or toe-in adjustment there on the right front after that contact with Ted Christopher and the wall.
21 years old, and everybody seems to want Ryan Preece to drive their race car. And maybe one of these days the doors will open and he'll make it to the big league.
More from halftime at the UNOH Perfect Storm 150 coming up. Saturday, right after the Sprint Cup race, NASCAR Victory Lane, driven by Good Sam Roadside Assistance. You'll get all the post-race coverage right here from JR, Kenny, Kyle, and Larry Mack. They'll celebrate with the winner, break down all the beating and banging from Bristol, right here on Speed. One to go, Bob.
Ron Silk second in points in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. That car was loose everywhere. He was just hanging on, so they tightened it up. Ron thinks he's got a car that can win this race, but another guy I want you to keep an eye on in the second part of this race, back in the 9th spot in that backup car. Not the backup car for his own team, but a backup car for Todd Szegedy. Donnie Leah has moved all the way up into the top 10. They straightened out the front end because it got damaged in that early wreck. He thinks he can keep on climbing the charts here and go after this victory.
And back in the race after being involved in the lap 3 crash, Frank Fleming out of Bowman Gray Stadium, just because he wants to race here, not because he can break up into the top 10 being that many laps down. Green flag, Szegedy, Silk. And here comes Preece on the bottom trying to follow Todd Szegedy to the front. It's side by side for second off turn 2.
Monsignor all by himself in 4th. UNOH right behind him in 5th.
Second is the battle. Silk on the outside seems to have more grip off the corner. And he is second. Preece is third. Monsignor looks low, then UNOH. Then Chu, and then McKennedy. And Doug Coby is coming, the North Point leader. His car is white with red on the right corner of your screen. The number 52. Monsignor looking low on Preece for 3rd place. Not this time.
That's 2 guys who are the future of this series for sure. 2 of the youngsters battling for position.
And now Coby has that pack of cars in sight. Running all alone in 7th right there.
Ryan Chu, that number 88, is having himself a really, really good day. 6th position right now for him.
Yeah, he ran a number of years in the Busch North Tour before moving over to Modifieds.
Yep. Some K&N racing as well.
Yep. Been quite a day here. The lap 3 wreck took out a lot of crowd pleasers, including Burt Myers, Tim Brown, and Mike Stefanik. Ted Christopher out after contact in a flat left rear and further damage. That's UNOH and the 88 of Chu, and behind them Coby's coming,
as he has done all year long in that number 52 car. Ironically, this is a UNOH sponsored event, and Coby really hit the headlines winning a UNOH event at Thompson Speedway last year with this new team he's driving for, and since then he has absolutely dominated the tour.
Traffic staying low. Leaders run the high groove. Wonder what will happen later tonight in the Camping World Truck Series in their first appearance on the reconfigured Bristol.
Well, this is for sure. They're going to have a lot of rubber laid down on the racetrack. Given where we were when the day started, this racetrack was absolutely white, but right now the turns are absolutely black.
Ronnie Silk alone in 2nd. And the log jam's going to be well behind them, back at about 5th place. And here they are. UNOH, the 64, Chu in the blue car, and point leader Coby to the outside in the 52.
Coby has 7 straight top 3 finishes. In addition to winning more races than anybody else in the tour. He spun in practice earlier today.
And now he's backed off, Dick. He needed about another half a car width for Brian Chu to make that pass. So now he's a spectator as Chu tries to get past UNOH, who might just be a little slower than both of them.
Kobe's strategy is never wreck a car. There's no reason to wreck it. Just take the car for what it'll give you and no more.
Well, you know, his dad drove like that.
Yep.
And that's because Doug Kobe Sr. raced his own cars and had to fix them as well.
And UNOH just went into the wall.
Yep. Front straightaway, nicked the concrete, and he drops 2 spots as a result. So that will move Chu up to 5th, and Kobe now 6th. UNOH dropping to 7th. Here's a look at it.
Chu definitely got into him, but he probably thought he was clear.
Well, you know that half lane that he needed on the outside? You see there, he didn't get it.
Nope, sure didn't.
But we stay green, coming up on the 100 lap mark of this 150 lap event. Todd Szegedy walking the dog. He is 1 second ahead of Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor. At Bristol Motor Speedway, the UNOH Perfect Storm 150. See Ted Christopher there in the 3 back in the race with 20 laps down after a lot of damage.
And Szegedy, our leader, is absolutely mired in all this traffic, which has got to be frustrating. Ronnie Silk is in it as well in the white number 6. Silk running 2nd.
Szegedy, the black number 2 on the outside. Frank Fleming a bunch of laps down. And backstretch inside the back straightaway. One car goes around after hard contact, and that'll put us under yellow. That will be the number 28 of Ed Flemke Jr. And on the front straightaway, the 51 spins. Kyle Ebersol. Flemke carrying the Ron Bouchard colors on his modified. Brings out the caution. Remember when Bouchard was a Cup rookie?
Oh.
The one here. Ed Flemke is Ron Bouchard's brother-in-law.
Right. Had a wild ride at Thompson a couple of weeks ago with a car right on top of his coming off the turns 2. He hammered it pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's why.
He got hammered, let's say.
Yep. He sure had some help in that one.
He was 15th when that happened. And then you'll see the 51 just come around as he sees the caution flag. And doesn't want to make contact. Didn't see who hit Ed Flemke, but he certainly didn't go around of his own doing.
No.
And he was a lap down at the time.
And there it says Ron Bouchard's right on the back of his car.
Fitchburg, Mass.
Yep.
Hey up.
Yep. This is the same car that had the other car on top of him. They had to fix the roll bars for today.
Todd Szegedy is still our leader. We're under caution. 46 laps to go. I thought this was the show where anything goes, but that would be trackside. Friday at 6:30 p.m. It's bringing the party to Thunder Valley, and the special guest is Michael Waltrip. It's the show where anything goes. It's trackside. It's only on speed. Ed Flemke Jr. got into the wall pretty hard, so the welder is out there, and you also see the truck loaded with the foam blocks to be able to make the repair to the inside wall. And apologies to Ron Bouchard. I know he wished he won here, but he didn't. He did start his first Cup race here and get a pole here in what was then the NASCAR Busch Series. So he did have a great record here, just not the victory that came at Talladega. Bob?
One guy when we go green again that you got to keep an eye on, the driver in the number 51 running 3rd right now, the kid from Long Island, Justin Bonsignor. Remember 1 year ago, he came from deep in the field to finish 2nd to Ryan Newman. And right now, he believes he has one of the best race cars on the racetrack right now. It takes a couple laps for it to come in, but once it does, it's a rocket ship. He loves his race car, and man, he was talking about running here, just competing at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Said it was a dream for him. He was on the pole a couple years ago. He said he wouldn't allow himself to think about what it would be like to win here. But he is one of the rising stars out of the modifieds right now. Justin Bonsignor hoping to bring home the gold here today.
Thanks, Bob. Red flag as they fix the backstretch wall. And look at the right side of Ted Christopher's car. You saw the damage a bit ago to the Nerf bars in front of and behind that right rear tire. And we thought, well, no way can they get him fixed and back out there. You know what? That's what he thought, too. And they said, jump back in the car. We're going back out. Here's what happened. Little hitch in the steering there. And there's the contact that punctures the left rear tire, which by the time Teddy gets down into turn 3 is nearly flat. That car's not going to make it out of 4.
And then it gets hit right there. And that's what damaged the rub rail on the right side of the car, and they had to replace it.
And they did.
They sure
Mike
did.
Bowler and crew got him back out.
21 laps down.
Is that old blue or new blue? I get so confused because new blue was about a dozen years old. And in race car years, you know, it's kind of like dog years. You know, a 12-year-old race car is how old?
Yeah.
That looks a lot newer than even the new blue that I remember for the Bowler team.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Looks like they're all done fixing that wall in the backstretch. Good job, guys.
You know, we showed how modifieds have evolved over the years. They are NASCAR's oldest division, and these are still NASCAR's lightest race cars, about 2650 with driver compared to the Sprint Cup cars. No, they don't make as much power, and with those big tires out in the wind, they're not going to go as fast top speed. An effectively a 2-speed transmission.
Yeah, and they are nimble. They are incredibly nimble, as you have seen tonight.
42 laps to go as the sun heads for the horizon in Bristol, Tennessee. You're watching the Mod Squad live on Speed. Welcome back to Bristol. 40 laps to go with Dick Berger, and I'm Mike Joy. Bob Dillner on pit road. Bob getting ready to go green.
And a lot of people wondering if the 6 car has anything for the leader, Todd Szegedy. Well, we told you in that halfway break that Ron Silk was reporting that he had a very loose race car. They made a bunch of adjustments to that thing, but it's still wicked loose. In fact, his major concern right now, according to the team, is holding off the number 51 car of Justin Bonsignor for second. So right now, Ron Silk on the edge, last year's Wheel and Modified Tour champ, not having a liking to his race car.
Late adjustment, toe out adjustment on Leah's car. They better hurry or they're going to go a lap down. And Donnie Leah scoots away. He's going to stay on the lead lap as we get 1 to go.
He's going to have to hurry just to get to the back of the pack.
Ed Flemke brought out that caution and red flag, running 15th. 6th caution, counting the halfway break. 39 to go. Todd Szegedy has never finished worse than 6th here in 3 starts. Lined up against Ron Silk, who won the season opener at Thompson, the icebreaker, and got his 7th career pole earlier this afternoon. Pace car heads for the house. It's been Wipeout Wednesday for much of the Mod Squad. Let's see if we can settle it here with 38 to go on the wave of the green flag. Here we go.
Szegedy, a nice restart.
Bonsignor, 51, tried the bottom, nothing there. Single file, 1st through 4th. Chu loses a spot to Kobe, who moves up into the top 5 for the first time today in his white number 52. Now they're up to speed. 36 to go this time.
A lot of different lanes to choose from here. Some people running closer to the bottom, others in the middle, others upstairs. None seems to have a particular advantage.
Priest in the 16 seems to like the high side. This time he goes to the bottom, coming out of 4, trying to stay within a car length of Bonsignor in the 51.
He's bottoming out. Sparks from under Bonsignor's car.
Nine cars nose to tail, 35 to go, Bob.
You mentioned that Ryan Priest was running the outside groove. He has to right now, Mike, because that car just way too tight. We got an accident on the front stretch.
Donnie Leah has spun in the front straightaway.
Into the back stretch, blew it with a tire rolling down the back straightaway.
Yeah, that was his left rear. It may complete this lap on its own. It's where Darrell would sing.
Yeah.
You picked a fine
time to leave me loose wheel. Yes. But neither Mike Joy nor I can sing as well as Darrell Waltrip. It's still going. That wheel is still going.
Cue the chorus.
Yeah. We'll see if the truck can catch it. There is a truck trying to catch up with that wheel.
Nice to see Ling trucking on the back of Blewett's car. We lost Don Ling not long ago. Great backer of the New Jersey Modifieds. And, boy, that's a tough hit.
Yeah.
And now the wheel took off by itself. I wonder.
It didn't.
Not the axle. Just looked like it was just the wheel, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It was this spin that started it all, the right front of Donnie Leah's. Now, remember, Leah had just been in the pits for a toe adjustment and just prior to going green.
Blewett looks like he's trying to figure out where that wheel left.
And I don't recall when he made his pit stop. Let's see what Ryan Newman's onboard camera can tell us. That was Leah just with a hard right turn into the wall, and a lot of sparks trailing from the 73. Wad 'em up Wednesday continues.
Yeah, we didn't really see what happened to Blewett's car there.
I didn't see anybody around Donnie Leah. That car just turned right.
It seemed to, yeah. What a day he's had, huh?
You saw him walking toward the ambulance. He's okay.
Won one of the practices, wrecked in qualifying, goes to a backup car, gets all the way to 9th, then winds up crashing out of the event after all.
And that trip to the care center is mandatory. If you don't drive the car back to its pit, you must take the ride in the ambulance and get checked out. Bob?
We were talking about Ryan Preece before that wreck happened, and Ryan Preece just really tight right now. We mentioned they adjusted the toe at the halfway break after that contact with Ted Christopher. Well, they think they have a bent right front spindle on that car, and he has to run the high line because that car just does not want to turn in the center of the corner, and that's the problem for Ryan Preece right now.
Tough break for Jimmy Blewett. Had a good run going here. The happiest I've ever seen Jimmy Blewett was at Caraway last year, the North-South Shootout in November. And they have a little kids big wheel race on the front straightaway. And the kids race about 50 yards. And one young member of the Blewett family had a great race.
Well, that'll do it. That'll put a smile on his face.
He was proudest.
Yep. Blewett has had quite a winter for himself. He has lost a total of 80 pounds. Asked him how he did it, and he said he just started eating right. He's got a nutritionist that's helping him. He's eating 6 to 10 small meals a day, drinking a lot of water, doing a lot of push-ups, a lot of cardio. And the reason he did it, because his crew chief thought that he was messing up the car's left side weight at the weight he was. So he went on a diet in order to go faster in the race car.
Well, it worked for him, but boy, tough break puts him out with 30 to go. Coming up next on Speed, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Here's a look at your top 5 this season. The setup will precede the race. Chris Devoda, your host. And there's a look at the standings. Cale Gale's going to start from pole tonight with Peters alongside. Then Todd Bodine, Brad Keselowski will be the front 2 rows. Ryan Blaney and Nelson Piquet Jr. in row 3. Crafton, Calder, Kligerman, and Sauter will be the top 10 when the trucks roll off the grid here in Bristol. Bob?
A concern right now for the 51 of Justin Bonsignor running in that 3rd spot. Doug Coby, who's 2 spots behind him, came down and actually told the team, one of his crew members did, that they think the right rear is going down on the 51. Well, the spotter for Justin Bonsignor took a look at that tire and said, you know what, I think it's A-OK. We'll be good to go. But certainly a scary moment there for Justin Bonsignor running so well here. They have a concern about that right rear tire that they're keeping an eye on.
The track crew is working on the racetrack in the area of turn 1. That is the delay.
Hopefully it'll be just a minute or 2 here.
I bet there's something stuck in the wall.
No, they're working on the surface. And Dick, what they did here, Bruton Smith said, we're going to change this surface. Remember, it's progressively banked. And the area where they worked on the track is, well, sorry, I drew it, and sorry, Roger. I should have told you I was going to do that. Let me try this again. From here to the wall is the area where they ground and then smooth the surface. So this transition here is part of the area where work was done. And the idea was to remove the topmost area of progressive banking and make Bristol more of a 2-groove than the 3-groove racetrack that it was previously. So a little bit of teething pains right here. We'll be back with the modifieds in a moment. "26 laps to go in Thunder Valley. The University of Northwestern Ohio Perfect Storm 150. Coming up right after us, the setup and the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live right here on Speed. See where the track is really light gray up at the top, just to the right of the pace car? That's the area that they've worked on here. And even the modified drivers say the transitions, especially coming out of turns 2 and 4, a little bit tricky with that newly ground concrete at the top of the racetrack.
Well, it's not worn in yet, and it's going to take a race or two before that happens, or even potentially by the time we get toward the end of the race on Sunday here, or Saturday night here, it could be all worn in and good to go. But that's a tough place to run that high on the racetrack.
25 to go. Let's set it for you. Zegedy inside the front row. Silk outside. Bonsignor and Priest in row 2. Kobe and Chu. UNOH and McKennedy. Goodale and the Whelen Modified Tour South point leader Brunhosel in row 5. Bone, Stinson, Hagee, and Speeney are the lead lap cars back through 14th position. 24 to go when they get the green. Zegedy out first. Silk is right with him. A lot of contact, bump and run in the back, and around goes Christopher. Well, that was not pretty.
No, and he's got another flat tire, this time in the left rear, and it's still going on. They're still wrecking.
3. Chu wrecks with Kobe, and
Zegedy's in it.
In turn 4, half a lap after the caution.
Whoa.
Wacky Wednesday?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Now there's your point leader in the Mod Tour, and he's got a flat right front. Kobe does. All right, so there's Christopher going around. Now that's down at turn 2. That's what brought out the caution. All right, that brought out the caution flag right there in turn 2. And now watch the leader. Oh,
there it is.
Boy.
Yep.
As they came to the caution, well, that's the flat tire on Zegedy's car, and you see Kobe and Chu get together.
It's Ryan Newman's car.
The 3 just ahead. Oh, Teddy had to check up.
Yep, and Newman caught him, and Newman has a flat right front.
Yep, as a result. Teddy had to check up for something in front of him. Ryan Newman got into the 3. And there's Newman coming to the pits, and you get an inadvertent look at how wide the wheels are on these modifieds. I'm doing this from memory, but 15 inches seems about right.
Yep.
This is the 7th caution or the 8th? One of those.
Let's see the tire coming right off Newman's car, just flopping around, flopping around. There it goes.
Eighth caution flag. Bob?
Phil Moran down here is the crew chief for Todd Zegedy. I tell you what, this team is not happy at all right now. They are trying to argue the point that the caution came out for Ted Christopher spinning off of turn number 2. Basically, Phil Moran said we were just taken out by the 6th car.
Well, I don't disagree, Bob. And the caution was for Christopher. However, in all of NASCAR's touring divisions, you are required to maintain pace car speed. Now, the pace car had not yet picked up the field. So perhaps Moran has a valid point. Doesn't appear that's the way they called it.
But he's not the one that's going to make the final decision. That's a NASCAR decision. And it looks as if The 2 is going to be in the back.
Yep, right.
What a shame. I mean, Szegedy had run a beautiful race all day, and now we got a flat right front on Doug Kobe's car.
Well, Kobe's been trying to circulate to get to a position where he can get onto pit road and get that fixed without losing a lap. You know, being the point leader, and there's 13 cars on the lead lap, so he would start no worse than 13th. Now, the danger of riding around like that is you can grind off valuable suspension parts.
Yeah, in particular,
they can't quickly be replaced.
Yeah, in particular, that front anti-roll bar.
Yeah, those are not run flat tires, folks.
No. So that then will put Silk in the lead. The guy who won the pole and last year's champion.
Who also happens to be the guy who took out the leader during this caution period.
Funny how that worked.
Not well. $19 to go. And since we're in a little bit of an overtime period here as the trucks are waiting to go, here's a look at it. This is the front of the field after the caution has come out, or at the time of the caution, excuse me. We don't have it synced up. And the yellow was not out, we're told. They were still racing for the lead at that time. The crash has happened in 2. There's the caution flag. Starter looking toward turn 3. However, caution calls are made by the tower. And
that was a good one. Based on what we just saw, that was a correct call.
So just 2 cars battling for the lead, trying to fit into one place.
I think so. 2 champion drivers.
It's not that Silk took Szegedy out. They were fighting for the same point on the racetrack, which was still under green.
Yeah, Szegedy, I'm sure, would dispute that. But then again, how many times have 2 cars gotten together and one driver thinks the other came down on him, the other driver thinks the other fella came up on him?
All right, Kobe has finally made it to pit road for a right front tire. But we're getting ready to restart. He is going to lose a lap, making the change with 18 to go.
He had finished every lap this season until now.
Silk and Bonsignor at the front of the pack. And Preece trying to move through for second place on the bottom.
Well, this has been going on for much of the second half of this event, with Bonsignor and Preece each trying to outdo the other for position, and now it's for second.
Point leader Doug Kobe takes his car behind the wall.
Whoa.
He's done for the night.
That's big.
Preece diamonds the corner, drops to the bottom, and gets inside Bonsignor for second. Bonsignor let him go. And here comes Szegedy from the back of the pack. He is passing cars like no tomorrow. Fresh tires on Zegedy's car. He is up to 5th. He's got 14 laps to catch the leaders.
He needs a caution. We've had plenty of those.
He might catch him without one.
He might. But still, he's got to get by 3 other guys just to get to Silk.
And excuse me, he did not pit. And Bonsignor loose, but he holds on.
So far.
He may lose 3rd to UNOH. That was a long slide for Bonsignor. And that car didn't want to make turn 3 either. Zegedy's coming. He's got those 2 in his sights. 12 to go.
Szegedy has had one of the best cars, if not the best car, in this race. Trying to make up ground, trying to catch the leaders.
11 to go. He is at 4th place with UNOH.
He got him.
And looks at Bonsignor.
Oh, bounced it off the wall coming off the corner. Szegedy just bounced it off the wall, hit the wall with that right rear tire. Can't try any harder than that.
And he can't hold back. Bonsignor's car is loose in, and Szegedy takes advantage. He jumps to 3rd. Silk, Preece, Szegedy. Lap cars stay on the bottom, including Chu. Trouble with his car, but he's going to ride this one out to the finish. 8 to go. Szegedy 1.9 seconds back. There's the gap, 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
And Silk in the number 6th, who narrowly missed winning at the Hampshire Motor Speedway a couple of weeks ago, now in command as the laps wind down.
The setup and the NASCAR Camping World trucks are next. Stick around as we finish off this modified race that has seen this man, Todd Szegedy, come from all the way in the back up to third and looking at the back bumper of second after he and Ronnie Silk bumped together, racing for the lead just before the caution came out.
Zegedy's team can be proud of the job their driver has done in this event.
5 to go. Traffic, including Kobe, who is back on the racetrack limping around, trying to protect his point lead. And Szegedy has gotten to the back bumper of Ryan Preece. 4 to go. This won't be easy.
He's trying him on the outside. He's got him.
And Preece gives him room. And now it's Silk and Szegedy 1-2. 1.6 seconds is the margin with 3 to go. What a drive by Todd Szegedy from the back of the pack. Ronnie Silk has run hard and deserves the front spot, but for the contact with Szegedy. And that was just racing. White flag this time by. Silk coming up on traffic. And it won't be a factor. Szegedy closes to 1 second behind the leader, and Ron Silk gets the 9th win of his Whelen Modified Tour career. He won the Thompson Icebreaker. This is his 2nd win of 2012. He joins Doug Kobe as the 2 drivers with multiple victories. 7th here last year. And he's the 3rd different driver to visit victory lane at Bristol in a modified. But the drive of the day was Todd Szegedy in the number 2.
And Szegedy is expressing his displeasure with Ronnie Silk right there. Oh, spun him out as the crowd reacts.
It's a hard call to make. Was it just racing as those 2 battled for the lead and Szegedy spun out just prior to the last caution? Clearly Silk got the inside. He had plenty of room on the corner. Szegedy came down. They made contact. At first, I thought Silk took Szegedy out, but Dick, the more you look at it, the more it's just 2 drivers going for the same spot.
Yeah, it is. And when you're going into the corner, the guy on the outside, of course, is going to come down some, and the guy on the bottom is going to slide up a little bit.
Ronnie Silk is the winner. Todd Szegedy, an epic drive from the back to come within 0.8 of a second of the checkered flag. Ryan Preece, strong drive for 3rd. Bonsignor 4th. Juhas the top 5. Brunholzl preserves his Whelen Tour South Point lead with a 6th place finish. Doug Kobe got back out there. I'm not sure if 17th will be enough to hold on to the point lead in the North. And a lot of the favorites ended up on the hook or in the garage for an extended stay, beginning with the big wreck at lap 3.
Danny Bone, the rookie, finished 7th today. What a run for him.
Hey, great drive.
Yeah, well, you got Ray Evernham in your pit. That's going to help. Yeah, but he drove well.
Bob Dillner strolls into victory lane, where Ronnie Silk awaits after his 2nd win of the season in the TS Haulers, number 6.
Got to get the right hat on.
Here we go.
Silk climbs out in victory lane. A big sigh of relief in victory lane, but what happened there with the contact between you and Todd Szegedy?
I got a run on him down the backstretch off of turn 2. I got my nose in there and I stuck it. I kept it in there and he came down across the front of it. I mean, I didn't see the video, but from what I thought, I was as far down to the bottom as I could, and he just decided to see if I was going to lift or not, and I didn't. Feel bad for him, but you know, They were talking about shortening the race. The next yellow could be the end of it, and I could actually, for a few laps, I could run with him. So if it was going to be a short dash, I thought I had something for him. But you know, I'm sorry that, you know, I don't want it to turn out that way, but that's what happened.
What does it mean to be in victory lane here at Bristol, Ron?
Oh, it's pretty important. I mean, we've struggled here the last couple years, tried a whole bunch of stuff this time, and to get it pretty close to right is a good feeling. So it'll be a much better ride back to Connecticut now.
Second win this year, but certainly this victory, one of the biggest of his career.
That's a 15-hour ride. That's going to be a sweet one in there. Todd Szegedy gets a little bit of consolation. What a drive back to second place by Szegedy after that dust up with Ronnie Silk. We promised you a day to remember when the Mod Squad came to Bristol. Wow, they did not disappoint. The setup and the Camping World Truck Series are next. Keep it right here on Speed.